It takes dedication, hard work, and a system. So that's from a realtor lens. From a corporate leader lens, it's very similar. So my specialty in corporate America thus far has been to design, it's been to build, and it's also been to fix things that are broken and to make it better, right? When that, you got stakeholders. You know what I mean? You've got complexities of actually, analyzing something for what it is and driving change to making it fruitful and sustainable.
Welcome to Show Your Receipts, where we believe if you can see it, you can be it. Receipts are evidence or proof that something has occurred. Our guests are evidence that Black excellence is alive and well. They will be sharing their receipts on how they've been able to accomplish so much in their life. I'm your host, Tony Jackson. Let's get started. Welcome to Show Your Receipts, where we believe if you can see it, you can be it. I am super excited for our guest today. She is my sister from another mister. I'm going to read out her biography, a little bio real quick. Jillian-Winston's philosophy is simple. You have to go to grow. Jillian is from Atlanta, Georgia, and currently resides in Chicago, Illinois. Jillian considers herself a jack of many trades, including having substantive expertise in HR, finance, real estate, and entrepreneurship. Jillian graduated from Georgia State University, earning her degree in finance and hospitality. She currently serves as a member of the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation Youth Leadership Council and loves to curate inclusive experiences in anything she touches. Jillian resides on the south side of Chicago with her husband and son, and we have her here today. Welcome, Jillian.
Hey, Tony. Thank you for having me.
It is exciting to have you here. All right, so we're going to hop right into it. It's been said that money earned is a representation of problems solved. As a realtor, as a corporate leader, what problems do you solve for the clients you work with and the companies you work with?
Oh, man. A lot. So from a realtor perspective, no transaction is the same. That's what keeps me going. It excites me that no transaction is the same. And I think, I'm going to use social media as an example. If you are considering selling, buying, renting, whatever it could be from a real estate strategy perspective, you may see something that says, oh, something sold for X over asking, or, this person went in under asking and moved in with equity. I want to do that. I should be able to do that. But there are a lot of things that go into a transaction, right? The ingredients for each transaction is truly different. And so I always say, think about what you see on social media with a grain of salt, because it takes a lot of muscle to get to the closing table. It really does. There are a lot of stakeholders that are involved in the process. You got to think about market trends within your zip code, within your block and proximity, right? Within your state, whatever it could be that's involved in the offer that you place, or maybe on the seller side, the offer that you accept, right? It's difficult. It's difficult. You see shows like, it is no shade to it, Selling Sunset and everything. And you see that commission number. I'm going to tell you, they are working hard. It's hard.
The show make it look real easy, though. The show make it look like you just show up and you get a $300,000 commission check and no problem.
Right. And I'll just tell you this, it is not that easy. It is not that easy. It takes dedication, hard work, and a system. So that's from a realtor lens. From a corporate leader lens, it's very similar. So my specialty in corporate America thus far has been to design, it's been to build, and it's also been to fix things that are broken and to make it better, right? When that, you got stakeholders. You know what I mean? You've got complexities of actually, analyzing something for what it is and driving change to making it fruitful and sustainable. And then when you build something, we all know what that comes with. It don't matter what you build. It could be a Lego set. It takes time and dedication,
Right.
So on both ends, it's very, very similar. But I do think that is a true statement that you shared, and, it's life.
Absolutely. So it seems like from a realtor perspective, one of the key things that you're doing is managing expectations of buyers and sellers. Okay, that's awesome. It seems like from a corporate perspective, you're kind of the person that comes in and addresses key problems, builds things that are not there, fixes things that are broken. That leads me to my next question, which is, what made you, because obviously you have this incredible personality, you kind of you had this energy about you. And oftentimes when people have that gift, they can sell in a lot of different areas. What made you go toward real estate? What was it about real estate that made you say, you know what? I think being a realtor is the avenue for me.
It was about maybe 6 years ago that I purchased my first property in Chicago, and I was obsessed with it. I was absolutely obsessed with the entire process. My friends knew about it. They started to think about, starting their real estate journey and building their real estate portfolio. And I was a part of every step of the way. They were like, Jillian, who is your attorney? What about this offer? I'm working with this realtor. Do you know an inspector? And I'm like, I should be getting paid for this. I should be getting paid for this. And yeah. I've always been a hustler. Point blank, growing up, a part of my pedigree, I've been on EBT, but I've also had a pool at my house. I've seen different classes, right? And because of that, I always believe in multiple streams of income, right? And absolutely. So real estate was one of those things where I already loved it and I was already playing a role in a sense. So why not get licensed and do the damn thing, right? And that's why I decided to do it. It's fun. It's fun. I'm able to, I have a system set up where, listening to this, you may say, like, how does she do that? How is she a full-time realtor? Because it's not a part-time job. Okay. So how is she a realtor? How is she, in corporate America? I'm married. I'm a new mom. There are a lot of hats that I wear, but it's all about systems and boundaries. And I believe in God as my higher power. Like, I let him order my steps, right? Absolutely. And that has been very fruitful to me. He gets energy to be able to do it. And I just go with the flow. I literally go with the flow and let it happen, man. So that's how I became a realtor.
That is awesome. But let me give some context for what you just said for some of my viewers who weren't on EBT. I was on EBT as well. Most people may not know. EBT is a government program. It's almost similar to like food stamps or something. Mm-hmm. And so that's amazing. So basically what you said, you've experienced the low economic, the high economic, and it turns you into a hustler. It turns you into somebody who go gets it. That's awesome. I got a similar story as well. We could definitely relate in that area. To piggyback on that, you being a multi-passionate or a multi-hyphenate, what does a normal day look like for you, since you are a realtor, but also simultaneously a corporate leader? So if a person was watching it and they were aspiring to maybe following your footsteps, give them a picture on what a typical day would look like, or maybe there is no typical day.
There is no typical day, but my day starts early. It starts early and it's routine based. And that was for me because as a new mother, I am figuring out what my routine looks like as my little one, Ozzy, is growing. And so, about 5:30 a.m. it's up. Let's get it. Let's get it started. I drink about 2 cups of coffee, any day and everything. And I don't typically look at my phone until 8 a.m. I give myself that time to start my day in my house and in my home, pray, do all of that stuff. And then I turn it on at 8 a.m. And with that, again, it's about setting boundaries. Now, one thing is, and I highly recommend this to anyone that is looking for multiple streams of income, is to always be, transparent about it, right? So, on the corporate side, I don't mix and mingle. I keep them very separate. I do not, go after business in my corporate walls. Absolutely. But what I'm able to do in my schedule is set boundaries. So my clients typically work 9 to 5. You know what I mean? So when I am going out on showings, it's usually between, or 8 to 4. It's usually between that evening hour, or it's on weekends, right? And so that has been able to really work for me. right now where I am in my life is I have a little bit more flexibility to pour into real estate. And I'm excited about that. Being licensed, even though I've been in it for like I said, 6 years, but being licensed for about a year and a half, and having a system, even though I wear multiple hats, this year alone, I probably will close about 4 million in real estate deals.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And I looked at my numbers yesterday, and I was like, oh, wait, okay, this actually feels good, right? But going back to it, it's all about boundaries. It's all about discipline, knowing how to cut it off. I'm still working on it. I'm not there yet. I am still working on it. My husband, he helps keep me grounded, with that, because you got to focus on home too. You know what I mean? Like, you got to know how, like, I'm not like your wife, Tony. Like, I'm not saving lives. You know what I mean? But even if you are saving lives, you got to have boundaries too. So you got to know, like, separate it, and that actually setting boundaries is what makes this a sustainable lifestyle. Yeah. So that's how I get through.
That's awesome. It's funny you mentioned that about the setting boundaries. That's one of the biggest, I won't call it arguments that my wife and I have, but I'm always going. My man is always going. And to me, when you can do something you love, it's not work. So sometimes you're like, can we not talk about work? I'm like, this is my fun. Like, this is what I do. So yeah, but I completely understand the whole idea of setting boundaries. Let's talk a little bit more. Let's dig into the skill sets that are required, to be able to excel at what you do. You just talked about, on pace to close over 4 million in real estate, which is highly impressive, especially considering the fact that, you were on maternity this year, you working in corporate America, doing all those things and still being able to produce those kind of results. Talk to me about the skill set that's required to be able to perform on that level.
That's a great question as well. People have to see you in your profession. They have to think about you, and they also have to think, oh, she's a realtor, right? It takes time to get there. So most realtors don't close on a deal in their first year. That's very, very common. So I really do feel fortunate to be where I am, given, the time and that I've been licensed. But to get there, I believe in authenticity. I am who I am. And I'm in my head a lot around social media. How do I grow my business? I only actually grow my business through word of mouth. I don't buy leads on like Zillow or Redfin or anything like that. And it's no shade to any realtor that does. You build your system how you build your system. But mine is just really grassroots. So I have to do a good job to get business, right? If I don't, then that word of mouth is going to take business away if I don't do a good job. And I think getting really good at the volume that I had in the very beginning has then allowed me to end this year the way that I have. And who knows what next year will bring. I'm already, have conversations with clients for next year. Spring tends to be the year for cycle for real estate. And we're preparing for that. You got to start about 4 months anyway, is what I recommend. But it just goes into, just doing a really good job with what's in front of me. And then back to that discipline thing. Discipline thing, having a system, being very transparent. Some of my clients, you may not like what I'm sharing, or maybe a tough pill to swallow. I'll say, but my goal is to really take care of my people, man. Like, it's a big transaction. I don't take that lightly at all.
Right.
People doing this, lifestyle changes are happening. They're trusting me to help them navigate this. Sometimes I have to wear a therapist hat. I'm not licensed. We have some come to Jesus conversations.
Right.
Like, I'm like, you're tripping right now. Like, no. Or I'll let them know, like, you sure you want to place an offer at the top of your budget? Maybe not. And maybe we need to keep looking so you're not tight on budget. Like, again, I'm part of that financial advisor team, but I'm not a financial advisor or accountant, if
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so talk to me about, because there's been a lot of conversation. You hear people of all ages, and I feel like people of our age, I try to lump myself with your age.
I see.
People of our age, I feel like the topic of conversation of wanting it all is big, like wanting the career, but also wanting personal life, but also wanting time with kids, but also wanting to be able to travel, wanting to be able to do all of these things. Talk to me about your approach to work-life balance, because I think that a lot of people have different philosophies on it. I like to ask everybody who I talk to this question because there's a variance of answers. I think oftentimes it depends upon a person's profession on their approach to this. But what is your approach? What is your philosophy? What is your thought on work-life balance?
Yeah. That was hard for me. Like, as I was in my last trimester of giving birth to my son, and I didn't know. I had anxiety, and as you all know, anxiety is around like you're stressed about the unknown,
Yeah.
right? You're putting these perceptions in your head, and you're worried about something that hasn't even happened before.
Yeah.
The work-life balance was one of those things because I'm a working woman. I just am. I can't sit in the house all day. I can't sit behind a computer all day. I can't. And a part of that, you know, I just realized, and I'm leaning on motherhood a little bit because it's so fresh, and with me being newer, it's about 4.5 months. He's 4.5 months now.
Yeah.
And there was one thing I shared with my husband. I was like, I go to Starbucks every week. And
Oh, yeah.
in the first 2 weeks, I'd be totally, as a parent, this, the first month, you're like, oh, Lord. You know what I mean? You don't know.
Yeah.
You don't even know what day it is. You don't know what day it is. You eat dinner for breakfast and vice versa. Like, you just do what you have to do to survive. But one thing that was part of my life balance was getting my cup of coffee every morning. And I told him, I was like, I need to be able to get in the car and just do that. Can I just hang on to that? Can you make sure he's covered with that? And that was my first step to it, right? Second step was I cannot do it all. And as Black women, and I've seen my mom, I've seen my aunts not sleep. They were the housekeeper. They were the chef. They worked. They, showed up to games, and they sacrificed a lot. And fortunate, where I'm at now in life financially, to offshore that stuff. I can't do it all, right? So we have help at the house. I have help with my son. I need it, right? And if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have the time. I wouldn't have time back to be able to do what I want to do. And because I've seen from an economical status side, like I've shared with you all before, of where I've been in my life and why it makes me the free that I am, like, I don't want my son to have to deal with that. You know what I mean? Like, my husband and I, we're grinding right now. We're doing what we have to do financially to be able to open doors for the team that we're building in our house, and then like within our families, and a legacy for like girls, Tony, and just like be able to make their lives easier, right? So take time away from me so I can make the next generation and my life easier. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, that's awesome. So I love how you talked about, like, it started with just a baby step of getting that Starbucks coffee in the morning. And that little baby step helped you get a little bit of balance, because I think sometimes people think like, oh, I need to spend 8 hours at work and then 8 hours, keeping a house. And then, like, it has to literally be balanced. And so it seems like what you're saying is you find the pockets of time and you find what works for you, so you can still maintain that equilibrium between your performance outside of the home and your presence inside the home.
Yep, absolutely. And I'll tell you one sacrifice we did have to make. Beyonce, as you all know, Beyonce was on tour this year, and my husband bought a ticket, and we knew we were going to be 4 to 6 weeks in as parents at this time, right? If everything happened on schedule, so things happened on schedule. And, my mom was coming in town, the family, like, people knew, and it hit me 2 weeks before. I said, I'm not ready. I was like, I'm not ready. We canceled the trip. we sold the ticket. And I think that's a part of work-life balance too, because work-life balance comes with sacrifice in some regards.
Absolutely.
And even if you have to sacrifice in that moment something, you could always make up for it, the next year. Like we're talking, I'm like, we need a trip. We need just a trip. We sacrificed the one to go see Beyonce. I think 2024 is the year. We got a system in the house. Like, let's figure it out. Let's do it. You know what I mean? So even though
absolutely
this year, it's coming back.
Absolutely. That was like ultimate. You know what though? If you think about it, that's like an ultimate adulting millennial moment. You cancel Beyonce because for the baby, for the kids. You know what I mean? And to make that decision, it's almost like it's like a crossroads in your life. It's like a moment in time where it's like, okay, this is real now. I'm a parent.
It's
and
huge.
let me be responsible to put my big girl pants on and make that's awesome. By the way, I'm a big proponent of the mommy daddy weekend away vacation trip. Let us know, put us in if you need some childcare. Put us in because we know the important. Yes, we know the importance of that. That brings me to my next question. In regards to real estate, or you can even answer this from a corporate leader level as well. But what is something that most people don't know or most people misunderstand about being a realtor, or maybe even just in general about real estate?
I think the biggest thing is it's easy. It is not. And I was guilty of that. I'm like, well, this person, there's a lot of people with real estate license. And full transparency, like remove 2020 and 2021 out the window when rates were like 3.3%, less than 3%.
Yeah.
I mean, people, because of the way that market was at that point in time, like you didn't really have to have the curated craft of being a realtor. You just did. People make great money. No shade to them. Great for them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now where we are is you got to work for it. Just because you're a realtor doesn't mean your family members or your closest friends are going to leverage you as their realtor. You need to become an expert in that space and you need to earn their business. You cannot lose sight of that. Nor should you feel jaded if someone goes, with someone else. That's tough too, but it happens, right? And it's not that you can't get them on the next transaction.
Absolutely.
It's a revolving door, but it's not easy. On a corporate perspective, I've been fortunate enough to accelerate in the corporate space at a young age.
But my next question is, what is something that most people don't know or maybe misunderstand about real estate?
People misunderstand that real estate is easy. It is not an easy job. Let me just be honest. Like I encourage people to do it because it's a rewarding path and career. There's no ceiling to what you can make. And that's part of the reason why I got into it. But it's not easy. One of those things is you can't assume your close friends and your family are going to work with you. You have to earn anyone's business. You just have to do that. And it takes time for people to see you in that profession. Right. So really getting comfortable and talking about real estate, being comfortable and telling people you are a realtor is a part of the game as well. So they can start to see you as a realtor, not just for them, but for their network. For me, I think I touched on this, but I grow my business strictly off of referrals. Strictly off referrals. So so people really have to think about me as a realtor.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's no shade to anyone that gets leads or anything. But it takes a lot. It takes a lot of muscle power, just like it takes a lot of muscle power to get to the closing table. It does to build your business as well. And again, you see those like selling Sunset and you see the commission and all of that, but like they're working hard. They're working hard to get those deals to the finish line. And any realtor is. I would say 2020 and 2021, like throw that out the window because the market was so crazy that people were just grabbing probably anybody that had a real estate license just to get to the finish line, right? Like now you have to get good at your craft. You really have to get good at your craft. You got to study every transaction or offer you're about to place or offer you may accept, your sellers may accept, study it, know to understand and feel good about it being the right one. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So yeah, so summary, it's not easy. It's not as easy as people make it look.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so, and it seems like, you know, when things are more difficult, that's where the pros come out. You know what I mean? That's where you separate the amateurs from the people who are really passionate and taking it serious. So, it makes sense why you are thriving in this more challenging market.
I
So
appreciate that,
kudos,
Tony.
yeah, kudos to you. That brings me to my next question. I want to kind of switch gears here a little bit. Uh, what do I have to understand about your earliest years to understand who you are today? What do I need to know about you, the young Jillian, the childhood Jillian, to better understand the woman that I'm speaking to today?
Where do I start? Where do I start? So, you all may hear a Southern twang, and Tony had mentioned this, but I was raised in Atlanta, but I was born in Baltimore. Both of my parents were born in Baltimore, one from the West Side, one from the East Side, inner city. It's, they're my parents, right? They instilled in me. I have pieces of them in me. And at a young age, we relocated to Atlanta. And at a young age, I also was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I'm at 19 months old. So very early on, I had to become independent quick. I had no choice to. So when I was probably 4, I think my mom shared with me, I gave like my first injection because,
Wow.
it's just my parents had to trust that whoever was watching me could watch that. You know what I mean? Feel comfortable. But they also had to train me that at the end of the day, you drive that too. And you have to learn how to take care of yourself. So I was always independent. I think that caused me and transitioned into my adulthood. I was always into sports, always just involved in a lot of stuff. They kept me really busy to stay out of trouble. Add a mouth on me. I'm a little spicy. So, they're like, well, you need to make sure that, your basketball, golf, whatever it is, you do it. Hard work was always a big deal in my household. And so I always had money. I always had a job. You know what I mean? Even if it was cleaning up for my chores or working at a mall when I was like 15 and still doing sports. So all of that is a part of why I am who I am today. I do have a mentality too of like, I feel like I could do just about anything if I really wanted to put my mind to it. And, moving to the Midwest about 10 years ago was new for me. I didn't have any family. I moved to Ohio first. Had a career in banking. I didn't have any family. And I was like, what the heck did I do? Why am I here? But it goes back to that go to grow, right? And now, being in Chicago for about 8 years, like married with the child on the South Side, like I just never thought my life would bring me here. And I'm thankful for that. And I think it's literally from birth, and that's the reason why I'm here and why, I'm trying my best to thrive and be the best person I could be for my people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's because you mentioned something I want to dig into. You said, did you feel like you could do almost anything you put your mind to?
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about where that confidence came from. Is that confidence that you feel like was instilled in you from your parents? Did this come from you just being an achiever and stacking up achievements and getting that confidence? Do you feel like it's something that you were born with? Like it's just a part of your personality? Talk to me about that.
I think it's just a part of my personality. Part of it was the behavioral thing too, growing up, right? You think you could do, and you can do what you want. But my parents humbled me really fast on that. But from an achievement perspective, like I just always wanted to do well. I always wanted to do well. I've always been just a hard worker. And, it's like some days I do think like I want my life to just be a little easier, but it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
When we're able to take a vacation, that's my wake up call. Like everybody can't do this.
Right.
Everybody can't do this. Or when we are, even with my son, like what, at 2 months he was getting a baby massage. I'm like, oh, like you're living, like you're living a soft life. Like those are reminders for me. Like I'm doing well. You know, I do get knocked down. You know, I do. There are like microaggressions like no other that I deal with as a Black woman in every avenue. It doesn't matter if it's in corporate America. It doesn't matter if it's in real estate. Like, you know, people look at me and they're like, well, how, you know, I know this is what they think because they don't think they're saying it with their face.
Yeah.
You know, I've been mistaken for an intern several years for a long time. And it's like, no, I'm not. You know, no, I'm not. And yes, I said this the way that I said it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This is how things should be done. You know what I mean? And even in real estate too, like I think motherhood, even in general, has elevated a level of directness and a vulnerability and transparency, and it's transparency in me that I'm just like, I love. I've always been that way. But to feel all of them synergized together at this aspect of my life, it's just like, it feels good. So yeah, that's why. And again, every day is not easy. I've been knocked down more times than you think. But you just gotta keep pushing forward, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know you mentioned how impactful your parents were in your development in your life. I met both your incredible parents. They're awesome people. Outside of your parents, growing up, who do you feel like had a big impact or a big influence on you? Was it any coaches or teachers or other family members who impacted you in your life growing up? And can you tell me a little bit about how that happened?
For sure. Yeah, that's a really good one. I had a third grade teacher. Her name is Miss Mullen. I'll never forget her.
Shout out to Miss Mullen.
Shout out to Miss Mullen. Like she saw me. You know what I mean? She really saw me for who I was, and I'll never forget this. I remember one day she said, "Ooh, somebody's parent is coming in this classroom, and I don't know whose it is." And here I am. Ooh, somebody's about to get in trouble. Like in trouble. Like everybody better sit down. And it was my father. Man, it was my father. And Miss Mullen knew that. I know she did, right? But she knew me. You know what I mean? And they orchestrated on the back end to put me in my place because he sat in that classroom the whole time and I cried. But that woman, she allowed me to, she nurtured who I was as a person. And I appreciate her for that. I also, my grandmother, Mommy Tuck, who's my mother's mom. We didn't call her grandma. We called her Mommy Tuck. She was a part of the Great Migration. She moved from North Carolina to Baltimore. You know, she met my grandfather who moved from North Carolina. He played in the Negro Leagues. She played for the Baltimore Black Sox, and he was in the fought in the war and everything. And she was like your typical woman from that decade. Like she never drove. She never drove a car in her life. She babysat kids in the neighborhood, and I look at her like she babysat us, growing up. And she actually transitioned in my house when I was younger. She was traveling to Atlanta to take care of us. She did it every year in August, and that was her time to, transition. And she saw me too. Yeah, she saw me too. So it's just a feeling that you get when somebody, you can tell when somebody sees you and they believe in you and they want to push you to like a place that they know that you can achieve. And that was really early on in my life. And I've had mentors and stuff now in my life in different avenues. I call them like my board of directors in a sense. So when I'm trying to make a decision, I talk to them. I would say from a marriage perspective, like you and your wife, Ursi, like y'all are, we look up to y'all. You spoke in our wedding, right? My cousin and her husband here in Chicago, like we look up to them. They spoke in our wedding, and we can talk to you guys about not just the married life, but not just the parent life, but like all aspects of stuff. You know what I mean? So I'm thankful for that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to go back to that, you mentioning how Miss Mullen saw you, how Mama Tuck saw you. If you had to go back and give advice to the 18-year-old you who at this point in time has been seen by Miss Mullen, has been seen by Mama Tuck, but you're still figuring things out. You're leaving high school, headed to Georgia State. What advice would you give the 18-year-old Jillian based upon what you know now and what you've experienced?
At that point, I would say it's okay to pause. It's okay to pause. I'm a natural achiever, right? But there's beauty in nurturing, sitting in a stage of your life for a second, nurturing, what you have, and being still. And at that point at 18, I think that would have been pretty good for me to hear at that point in time, because I was just really hard on myself. Like I remember getting a C in college, and you would have thought like it was the end of the world, man. Like I cried so bad, and I'm just like, like in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal.
Right.
I just was too hard on myself. So being in this stage, like I was sharing, I think I said this earlier on, but like I feel free. I feel the like fruits of my labor like really paying off, and I'm going to continue to work hard, but I'm nurturing what I have. And I just think my teens and my 20s really set the stage of like where I'm at right now.
Absolutely. And so again, going back to you mentioned Miss Mullen, Mama Tuck, and it seems like they were along with your mom and dad and the board of directors that you have, that you have bought into the concept of mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
That you've been mentored by so many people, and it's helped you become the woman that you are today. Are you currently, or have you in the past mentored anyone else? Is that something that you've done before?
I have. There are, and I'll say this with mentorship too. I don't like to force it. I've been in programs. I won't name any names, but I've been in programs and a part of programs where, I've been matched with people, and it's been pretty fruitful. You know what I mean? It's been pretty fruitful. I've been on the other end where I'm seeking to be mentored, and I don't even ask for people to do it. I just be like in my mind, like, you're my mentor.
Exactly. I do the same thing.
But
they don't know it. Yep.
I'm going to call them, when I need advice, and that's how I have labeled them. But I have been fortunate enough, even if it's a peer, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be someone younger or older than you.
Right.
Peer, like, I'm always an open door and an honest door and transparent. And so I have had the opportunity to mentor throughout my life. And I hope I, can continue to do that at this point in my life too.
Absolutely. And for any viewers out there who are seeking mentorship, I want to add to something she said. If you want to be mentored, you have to be the pursuer.
Yep.
You have to be aggressive.
Yep.
I actually like for somebody to aggressively reach out to me and email me or ask me questions and follow up. You can't expect the mentor to be following you and chasing you around.
Agreed.
You have to be the pursuer. You have to be the aggressor in that space. And so I guess my next question is, if somebody were watching this and they said, man, this woman is amazing. I love everything about what I just heard, the work-life balance, the success, the energy, the positivity. I would like to follow in her footsteps. What would be the best way for a potential mentee to reach out and connect with you?
You can call me. My number is 404-405-8647. Call me. You can follow me on Instagram. It's jmichelle_real estate. So Michelle, it's Michelle with one L. Okay, so Michelle with one L _real estate. Then just feel free. Shoot me a text. You know what I mean? My line is always open until I have my boundaries up where I cannot answer the phone or text.
Right.
But I will get back to you when I can. And I'm happy to talk to you. Yeah, I'm happy to.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a show your receipts first. We actually have someone who gave out their personal number. Don't play around with that number. If you go message her,
don't play around with it.
You better be serious. Like, be serious about that. This woman is busy. She don't got time for games. So That was definitely a first. Lastly, and I know you mentioned the fact that we're coming into the spring season. This episode is probably going to air in January, February. We're coming into the spring season where the real estate market is picking up. And so if you're in the Chicago area, my question to you would be, where can people find you? How can people connect with you if they're maybe looking to buy or sell a house or something like that? What would be the best place to direct them? And we'll also put it on the screen, whatever you say.
Sounds great. Just call me. Call me, text me. You can, send me a DM on my Instagram page. You can also email me. My contact information is all on that page. I'd be happy to take, good care of you, good care of your village. Even if you're not in Chicago, I do have, this goes into the going to growing, mentality. It's allowed me to build a really strong network. And I do know realtors across the country. So just let me know. You know what I mean? I would just say, go for it. Have the initial conversation of real estate. See where you are. Don't get out your head. Remove all of that, right? Just remove it. And again, I'm here. I'm here. So appreciate that,
awesome.
Tony.
Yeah, Jillian, I want to thank you so much. Thank you for showing us your receipts. Thank you for taking time to speak with us today. Your story is inspiring. From EBT to 7-figure sales, like this is a big deal. Thank you for inspiring us and taking time out of your busy schedule today.
Tony, I appreciate it, man. Like, I feel like this is a great platform you have going, continue to nurture it. It says a lot about you, who you are as a person. It's good stuff. It's really good stuff. So thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.